right, why don't we jump into our next topic here? No one wants to buy the RTX 4060 Ti in spite of my best efforts after taking a back alley deal from Nvidia to promote their new GPU. /S. Nvidia's new RTX 4060 Ti has been met with low consumer interest. Many retailers only ordered a few cards per store. And in some areas, especially Europe, they're already offering the cards for $10 to $25 below the recommended retail price. And this is probably because in Europe, the recommended retail prices are particularly brutal because NVIDIA apparently doesn't attend the xe.com school of how currency conversion works. At the same time, though, NVIDIA's market valuation increased by 30%.
Yeah.
30% their stock went up in the last 2 days or something like that due to high demand for LLM chips. So large language model chips, like machine learning chips. NVIDIA don't give a about gamers anymore.
It's so annoying because they had crypto stuff and then that sort of died.
And we were like, yes. Come back to us. Come crawling back, baby.
And they're back for not even a year? And then they're like, ooh, new wave to ride. Let's go. Oh, come on. Oh, well.
Anyway, AMD, of course, dropped prices on the 7600 XT down to $269 only 36 hours before launch. Okay, I'd actually like to talk about that. We had a whole shtick for that video where the intro was going to be AMD, I'd be happy to help you learn how to benchmark GPUs so that you can price your cards appropriately. And we actually left in part of it. And then we kind of went record scratch. AMD changed the price of the card. I don't want us to get too good guy AMD about them bringing this card out at a price that is somewhat reasonable.
Because it's somewhat reasonable.
Because, it's only somewhat reasonable.
Yeah.
It's in line with the rest of their lineup, which they did, get aggressive on a little bit, but that's only to, deal with the fact that GPU demand is apparently at a historic low right now or something like that. This is not out of the goodness of their hearts. And B, they only did it at the last second. Very last second. Changing the price of a GPU a day and a half before its public launch is a colossal undertaking because they have to basically redo all the contracts that they have with their board partners, right? They have to go and do a whole bunch of paperwork and I imagine the accounting department would absolutely hate this, right? And I want us to not lose track of the fact that if they were able to price it at $269 36 hours from launch, they could have priced it at $269 36 days from launch. There is nothing about the cost of this card that necessitated the $299 price that they originally announced to the press. Nothing, clearly. And it was only due to some kind of probably intense pressure that they would have made a last-minute change like this. So I'm annoyed. I find it extremely disrespectful.
They're
when these
good guy by association because the other guy's worse.
Yeah, well, it's more just they could have just done this. They could have been pro-consumer. They could have cared about consumer value in the first place. And they could have had it at a good price. But they didn't. There's clearly a lot of internal forces at AMD that wanted this card to be priced as high as the market could possibly bear. And it was only at the last second that they ultimately made the decision to back down. And it's extremely disrespectful to everyone else who's involved in the launch of a product like this, including media partners. And I know there's going to be the people out there whose takes, maybe I will just start shadow banning because they're phenomenally stupid, but whose takes on this are going to be, oh, wow, complaining about free GPUs. Do you think I need a 7600 XT? Do you think that meaningfully changes my life? This is our job is to make these reviews so that people know what to buy. That's the whole point. And then the way that symbiotic relationship works with the manufacturers is if they make a good product, then as long as we are independent and trusted, that will dramatically improve their sales. And the second we're not independent and trusted, it will have no impact whatsoever. So it's in their interest to support an independent media, right? And so when they don't give us the tools to do our jobs properly, well, it's disrespectful to us, and it's also disrespectful to you guys. There was a not insignificant probability that if any outlet, had a family emergency or something like that, they wouldn't be able to get the proper message out to their viewers. Now, the good news is that for any written outlet, a price change is theoretically pretty easy to adjust. You just kind of go, oh, okay, Control H, 299, 269, replace. But because it so dramatically changed the value proposition of this card, which is a value tier card, I wouldn't say budget, but definitely it's about the value. You're not buying a 7600 XT because you're going for the utmost in performance. You want bang for the buck, right? And it changed the angle of the video a lot. And for video, that's even harder to adjust because you need to change the script, then you need to reshoot it. We actually had to fully reshoot that video. The only reason that we reused some of our original shoot was because I just kind of thought it was funny to have my outfit change sporadically throughout the video. Yeah, okay. Okay, this is great. In our notes here, it says communication of the drop was scattered and some reviews did actually go up based on the original price, which is not a proper service to you, the viewer. AMD's board partners seem to have stuck with the 270 price, with the exception of the ROG Strix OC edition at $340. And then Best Buy has made the interesting choice to price multiple models of the 7600 at $380, and that's probably because they haven't actually gotten written, signed confirmation of any kind of rebates that they might be getting on these cards that they probably got allocation of completely sight unseen, not knowing what the pricing was, or they got the original pricing only for it to change later. Intel apparently, though, took the opportunity to slash the A750 to $199. That's actually a pretty interesting price. AV1 encoding, solid 1080p performance.
And with being able to stream, there's a very strong argument at that price for streamers grabbing that just as their streaming card.
Yeah, $200. Man, that's a lot of hardware for $200. Meanwhile, Nvidia wants $100 for just 8 gigs of the RAM on that card.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't sell, man, I just don't think they're going to give any Fs. They're so busy.
The LLM cards, whatever.
They're so busy selling every wafer they can book at TSMC right now.
Yeah. It's
to
not performing
AI
as well?
startups.
No, just don't book more time. Yeah, who cares?
Yeah, whatever. Just shift production to Teslas or whatever.
Yeah.
Or A whatever they call it these days.
Yeah.
I think the Tesla branding is gone, but
Was it A4000? Is that right?
No, I think it's
That's something else?
it's A6000 or something
Sure.
like that. I can't remember anymore because it seems like they have intentionally made their product stack just completely unintuitive.
Yeah.
Why did they take away the Quadro name?
It was so good.
Yeah, and then they had 2 different generations of workstation card that have the same model.
The only thing that they did that I
in them.
didn't like was they would have weird Best Buy exclusive generations and then skip over them for everybody else. That was the only thing. Basically, all the rest of it was fine. Just leave it alone.
Oh, now Nvidia's naming is a nightmare.
Now it's a mess.
And so is AMD's for that matter. I have gained a renewed interest in AMD's cards because they're just a killer value right now, from about $180 up to realistically $450, $500. And so as part of that scrapyard GPU war thing where I was trying to get the best bang for the buck GPU for around the price of a 4060 Ti at retail, I ended up doing a bunch of research into AMD cards that I hadn't really paid much attention to. But their product stack is a mess. They have a 6600, a 6600 XT, and then they have a 6650 XT. But then in the 7000 generation, they're not doing 50s. They're doing XTX for the more betterer one. And I'm looking at this going, what the hell is going on? Sometimes you have an XT, sometimes you have a 50, sometimes the XT is a huge jump, sometimes the 50 is a big jump, but they're both XTs. I cannot wait for the lab to just have a database where I can just go, okay, get that game at that resolution and just show me all of them. Please. Lab, I'm so ready. I haven't told them yet, but one of the things that I would like for us to do, never mind GPU reviews, one of the things that I would like for them to do is have enough test benches that we can run in parallel, and we can basically, like, once a year, maybe twice a year, if we can make it automated enough, we just throw every card back on, run it with the latest drivers, and just have this database be up to date. So you can just compare functionally anything with a PCIe slot.
I have vaguely mentioned this, and I saw hearts shatter. But I'm sure we'll get there eventually. I just think it'll take a long time.
They just need more test benches. I mean, if it gets as simple as we can use machine vision to set up
the infrastructure behind all that is going to be like pretty intense.
Yeah, but that sounds like videos to me.
Like I said, it's very. I believe we can get there, but I don't expect it soon. That's all I'm saying. They got a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of moving parts in their lab.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. It's gonna be awesome.
I had someone ask in Floatplane chat today if we would make content about cards like pretty deep into their life cycle, talking about their performance on new drivers. And I was like,
I don't think that that's something that you're gonna see very often.
I don't think the content
on LTT, but I think that's something where the lab could end up digging up, cool outliers. Like, man, how would we train it to look for, weird anomalies? Like, hey, flag it for us if this card has increased in performance by more than 20%.
If we've tested it in the past, that would help a lot, because then if a test is like way outside of expected change, then we would know.
Yeah, I guess so. And we're gonna have to have like weekly meetings with the lab that kind of like, okay, what have you tested? What's interesting? I had a meeting with James today about sort of what our channel strategy is going to look like going forward, and it's kind of like content kind of rolls down a hill sort of thing. So LTT started out as simple, basic, like reading the packaging unboxings essentially, and then it turned into more like testing and reviews, and then it turned into bigger projects and became very personality driven, and now it's sort of reached
like a show.
Yeah, I would say it's reached kind of an end game as far as that goes. And then we identified that there was this content gap that we were no longer filling, and we went, oh, okay, how about Short Circuit then? Short Circuit will now do the simple, easy, cheapo unbox. Okay, no, we're going to start adding data to Short Circuit. Let's make that more like a review. Okay, but then what about these simple unboxings? Well, you know what? We're going to have data for those too, and then we're going to do these category-specific channels. I think you guys might be disappointed when you see the production values of these
if we're making a video
vertical,
on every single power supply that ever exists,
it might just be hands unboxing some very basic B-roll. We might have to find a way to essentially cut these with AI and then have an editor go in and fix.
There are AI video editing tools.
Like it might be pretty basic, but if our goal is to, have a video that could belong on every single product page on Newegg or something like that in the longer term here, realistically, how much more is there going to be for us to say about the 13500 or the 13400 Core i5? I'm going to be really interested to see what we'll be able to do with a labs data sheet a large language model, and a writer to kind of go in and clean it up.
It's going to need that. Yeah.
Where we basically just go, okay, feed the LLM all the performance data and specs of this product and everything within $50 of it on either side, and the top tier from that generation. What would it spit out? Would it say, compared to AMD's whatever, it's like this, and that's still 30% worse than the best Intel has to offer? But it, like, if we gave it enough samples, like if we wrote them manually to start and then fed that to it, would it be able to generate anything usable? I don't even know.
What could be kind of interesting is eventually if we have like site analytic, like user, how people use the lab's website analytics that are good, we could use that to fuel content direction.
Ooh.
Like if we start noticing a ton of people start comparing some certain cards or whatever, we could be like, maybe content time.
That's pretty cool.
And do stuff like that.
Okay, I'm liking that.
Not yet.
It's going to take time.